What's up, Big 12 Nation? Welcome once again. It is Tuesday night in America. That can mean only one thing. It is time for another edition of your favorite Big 12 related internet show, The Biggest 12, with me, your host, Clint Foster. Thanks so much for joining us here tonight. Got a great show for you. Didn't even need to come up with a theme for the show because there was so much news, Big 12 related news in the last week. A lot of stuff that we got to unpack. I got a great guest joining me here today. Going to talk through all of it. But before we get into any of that, we got to get into your job. You have something that you need to do. All right. And that is subscribe to the show. If you haven't already, at Big 12 VOCFP, like, subscribe, share the show. Let me tell you something. I put a lot of effort into this show. Okay, baby. I do this for you. It's for the love of the game right now, okay? It's how college football used to be. We're doing this for the love of the game. But if you share the show, okay, if we grow the show, then this can actually, turn into a thing where I'm, compensated for my time and effort that I put into this thing. So help me make that happen. Subscribe to the show. Tell your friends about it. Tell your moms about it. Tell your uncles about it. Tell everybody about it. Like it. Share it. All of the things, okay? And make this a part of your Tuesday night. It's not just the biggest 12 on Big 12 VOCFP, Voice of College Football. We got lots of other content, lots of other great shows, things to keep you informed, keep you entertained, all of that good stuff. So like and subscribe to the show. And if you haven't already, come on, baby, follow me, all right? My YouTube channel, at Clint Foster Comedy. I got another script in the hole for y'all. I'm hoping to get that filmed maybe Friday or Saturday. Okay, so I'll get another video out for y'all very shortly, and I'm working on another one, which is, we'll just say it's ACC related. Okay, so that's script number 2. The point is, a lot more content coming out on my personal channel if you want a good chuckle. So at Clint Foster Comedy, follow that one, and follow me on Twitter, or X if you were so inclined, at Clint_Foster 55. Also, if you're interested in just like my personal life, I don't know if you're one of those type of people, you can follow me on Instagram. That's a lot less, college football musings, and more just like, hey, here's what I'm doing today, at the Clint Foster, if you're into that sort of thing. So just throwing that one out there as well. Okay, so there's the podcast business out of the way. I do want to say this too before we get started with the show. I am interested, if y'all are interested, in doing so I'm a big fan of the Shutdown Fullcast. Okay, if you haven't listened to the Shutdown Fullcast, add it to your podcast rotation. This is me, plugging another show. All right, so if I'm plugging it, you ought to listen to it. It's a great time, college football podcast with a great bunch of people. They do disaster episodes very frequently, especially during the off season. Okay, usually themed around something. They talk about personal disasters, and they have listeners send in their stories about disasters. These are like funny disaster stories, okay? So like, for instance, your dad set the yard on fire trying to kill some bees, or like on a road trip, some misadventure occurred that in hindsight is very hilarious to recount. So if you have a disaster story about your time at a Big 12 institution, we'll just keep Big 12 theme, Big 12 disasters, and I like them to be personal because those are always more fun. Send them to me, okay? DM me on Twitter. Again, that's at Clint_Foster55. So you can email them to me. That's theclintfoster@gmail.com. Send me your disaster stories, and if I can compile enough of them, then we'll make a show out of it, and it'll be very fun, and we'll have a lot of good laughs, and I'll get some good guests in here to talk about their disasters as well. So put that in the back of your mind, stick a pin in that. Let's try and make that happen because I think that would be very fun. Okay, so while we're waiting for my guest to join me, and I just saw it in the comments, okay, have you talked about the new TCU jerseys? Oh, buddy. So we got to talk about this, okay? And I can't believe that this happened after we did our uniform episode. I mean, oh my gosh, what a sad turn of events. But TCU announced new uniforms. Was this yesterday? Yes, it was yesterday. Oh my gosh, it feels like a week ago. So let's take a look at them. All right. And here's the thing. I am here to tell you that I personally believe TCU's most recent set of uniforms were the best uniforms TCU has ever had. Okay. This is, I may like individual alternates, a lot, like I talked about in the uniform episode, the Rose Bowl uniform, that's a personal favorite of mine. But I think when you talk about the entire uniform set, the uniforms we just had, it doesn't get any better. If you don't recall, they had, and I'll actually pull up a picture of them as well. Uh, they had a very cool horned collar around the collar, which is also it harkens back to the past, as well as just the whole idea of horned frogs. They got rid of all of that. Okay, so here are the new TCU uniforms. As you can see, they are just completely and utterly blank. All right, there's no character. There's nothing happening. It's a sad day. Now, is this aesthetically horrifying? Does it assault your eyeballs in the same way that like an all mustard Baylor jersey does? No, it doesn't. But it's just you've taken away all the personality, all the character, all the soul from these previous TCU uniforms and replaced them with nothing. Right? That's the bummer here. That's why I myself and so many just college football fans around are so bummed about this. Now, I will say this, okay, that the helmets are very nice. Most of the helmets are the same. You can see the main three helmets that the models are wearing here are the same, but we have reintroduced a purple chrome, which was a fan favorite. You can see the guy in the away jersey, the all white, is holding a purple chrome helmet. That's very exciting. And also adding this new silver mirrored chrome helmet, which you see in the black, in the hand of the black uniform player. That's great. Okay, the helmets are nice. I like the helmets, but you've just taken away all the character, all of what's unique. I mean, and it's not that I'm necessarily anti-minimalism. Okay, I think a lot of minimalist uniforms do look great, but also there's like 200 college football teams. We don't need everyone to be minimalist. And that's what Nike's doing right now. They're making everybody's uniforms the same, okay? And nobody likes that, right? We want character. We want pizzazz, We want things that show off what makes your school unique. And I think, so there's a Twitter account, NFL Fashion Advice, that did a great side-by-side comparison here. We'll put it up on the screen of the uniforms that TCU is going away from and the uniforms that they have now introduced, and you can see here, right? It's a crying shame. You've got there the spikes around the collar. To me, that all white away uniform that the Frogs wore in the Fiesta Bowl against Michigan, that's the greatest TCU uniform ever. It's my personal favorite, greatest of all time. And you've just removed all of that character, right? You've removed the horns, which again leaves you with a blank jersey. So I don't know. I'm not a fan. Let me know what you think of them. Let's see what we're thinking in the comments. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So Joey's just not a fan of the purple. Purple assaults my eyeballs, but only KSU purple. I kind of like those uniforms. Oh, well, yes, they are old school because there's nothing happening on them, right? There's nothing going on. They're blank. And okay, Thomas, other schools worry about our jerseys more than TCU fans. Well, I don't know about that because I have seen a lot of TCU fans online and talked to a lot of TCU fans who were texting me like, "What happened?" As if I had anything to do with it. What happened? What have you done? No, I don't approve of this. No, look how they massacred my boy. I don't like it. I don't like it. Okay, all right, Devil Frog. Here we got another TCU frog in the chat. There are no classic or traditional purple white uniforms. Why not a purple blood like TCU? Okay, I'm not sure. Yeah, okay. I think where you're going with this is that, this is more similar to like a blue blood, right? All the blue bloods, they have simple uniforms, right? We're not a blue blood, okay? We're not blue bloods. Newsflash, okay? We are the new guys on the block who are trying to establish ourselves. Oregon is not a blue blood, right? They were like, we are here now. We're establishing our own identity. If I wanted to root for Penn State, I'd root for Penn State, right? If I wanted to root for a team that was a blank white helmet and a blank blue jersey, if that was my vibe, then okay. But that's not us. That's my point here. That's not us, right? Here we go. Here's a better look at the helmets. You can see the helmet's very nice. I mean, I love the chrome. I do like that we're adding the frog skin onto the black helmet. I mean, the helmets are chef's kiss, beautiful, right? It's just, come on, man, come on. It's got to have more character than that. It's got to have more character than the blank jersey. Here we got another one. Okay, old unis were awesome, new ones suck. There we got that. So if you want to see TLDR, too long didn't read. Want to save ourselves some time. There, that distills my thoughts perfectly right there. Okay, so let's introduce this guest and let's get to some of the other news of the day. We've had him on the show before, friend of the show. If you're not subscribed to his show, again, what are you doing with your life? Okay, really reevaluate your life choices. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, from Big 12 Mafia. Bomber is in the building. How you doing, friend?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Clint?
ECU uniforms notwithstanding, I'm doing excellent. I'm doing really great.
Yeah, you're not into the newfangled, color schemes and everything else.
Well, I mean, the color scheme is the same. It's just we've removed all the character and personality from the jerseys. We've removed the horns.
Right.
Actually, I posted on my Twitter. This is, again, why you should follow me on Twitter. TCU uniforms from 2019 and 2023. It's a horn frog, right? Now, it's just a lizard. There's nothing happening. Okay. Right. It's, oh, man, it's just, it bums me out to no end. And minimalism works for a lot of schools. It works for BYU. I adore BYU's uniforms.
It does, yeah.
That's not everybody.
It is that. Yeah, if you ask Utah, they're the reverse, right? They love theirs all to be pretty and fancy frills and stuff like that. You're not going to get that in Provo.
Yeah, and again, I think a lot of Utah's uniforms are great, but again, they have personality, right? That's important. So, a lot of news to cover today, and I'm very glad that you're here. Okay, Clint, I gotta share this. Nike gave the sweatshops weekend off. Sorry, so bland. Yeah. Hey, well, at least the kids in Bangladesh, at least they got a break.
Exactly.
We're happy about that. We're happy about that. And Clint brings up minimal is easier for video games. This is something else that I tweeted. I can't believe, y'all, that I've waited 10 years to get to play an NCAA football game again. And when I'm going to do it, TCU's uniforms are just like a blank, generic purple nothing. Like, come on, man. Come on, man. Are you serious right now? Oh, it's a bummer.
Don't you have the ability to customize the uniforms?
I mean, probably. I don't know. Maybe we will.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, so 2 pieces of big news. First of all, we got to talk about this ACC Doomsday Clock. All right, it's ticking. I need a little graphic for it. I need something to flash up on the screen. Doomsday Clock. All right, and I know, Bomber, that you are very plugged into all of this news. I'm in a group DM with this guy, y'all, and it's popping off with all of the latest stuff. Maybe you saw, okay? So those of you who maybe are on the outside looking into this thing, you saw things like this on Twitter recently, right? ACC with just an ominous, the water cup from Jurassic Park, right? We're ticking down. Something's about to happen. Bomber, what can you share the latest about the situation with the ACC and the likelihood of the Big 12 gobbling some of it up?
Right. So the latest ruling came in today. The ACC asked for a motion to dismiss. They wanted to kick this lawsuit down the road. They wanted to make it out so that it's no longer in the purview of the courts, basically forcing them to do business in North Carolina. This is the Florida judge, and the Florida said, I don't play that way. And I'm not saying it, but I'm saying it. I'm a University of Florida State graduate. I probably have law clerks up and down that also graduated from Florida State. So I'm just teasing. I threw that piece in. But yeah, the ruling basically went the way that everybody is expecting. The ACC got shut down, and now we get down to the next thing, right? There will be an appeal, and then an appeal of an appeal, and it just goes forever and a day. But right now, today was not a good day for the ACC.
Yeah. So, and Florida State, what is Florida State so upset about? Why is there all of this rumbling about Florida State, Clemson? They're looking to get out. They're really not happy with the situation. I mean, why? Why all of a sudden?
Well, all of a sudden, it's just because it got left out. They're a 13-0 championship team, didn't get added to the playoff, right? I mean, that would be the impetus, but they've been talking about doing this for a couple of years now. And basically, they see themselves getting left behind by the Big and the SEC. That's where all the money's going. The Big 12's never going to see that level of gain. At some point, the Big 12 is going to be right below that. Florida State and Clemson don't want to be trapped in a conference, the ACC, that basically is on the same trajectory as the Big 12. So they think they're the best brands in their opinion. Obviously, they're going to think their own schools are the best brands, but they're the best brands still available. They have the championship pedigree. Both schools have won multiple championships in the last 25 years, and so they're like, now's probably never going to be a stronger time for us to leave this conference, join one of the big boys, probably the Big Ten, and get out while the getting's good. Because the longer the time goes, and you and I are on the same page with this, the BYU, TCU, every other Big 12 school, the disparity, it's going to be 100% more in 2 years. In 6 years, it's going to be closer to 3/4 or 75% more money is going to be going to the likes of Purdue and Indiana and Vanderbilt, and not going to the TCU, BYU's, Utah's, whoever that deserve them.
Yeah, I mean, talk about something that really chaffs my mind, man. You've got programs like TCU, BYU, even Utah, right? We don't have Wild Ute in here. We can hate on Utah, that have earned their way, right? They've earned everything they've gotten, and you've got an Indiana sitting there. Well, at least Indiana's been good at basketball. A Vanderbilt sitting there, who's literally done jack squat their entire existence, and is just collecting a paycheck. Right? That's frustrating from the outside looking in. How much do you think, and this is, so I've heard this from sources, how much do you think the additions of SMU, Cal, and Stanford have played into this trouble in paradise? The teams at the top of the ACC really feeling disrespected and feeling like they've been told something that they have to do that they weren't necessarily on board with.
They were not happy with adding those 3 schools: Florida State, Clemson, and it was either Miami or maybe it was North Carolina, the third school that voted against adding those, and yet they came in, and all it did was make the ACC look a laughing stock. Look, you had a school that has been nowheresville for over 50 years. And at one point, 50 years ago, did they have a program? They did. They had the best program money could buy, but haven't been since that. And there is a level of deserving, right? And you could say Cincinnati, you could say BYU, you could say Houston, you could even say UCF has done the things to make themselves raise their profile to enough that the Big 12 would want them. SMU didn't do that. And besides the addition of Cal and Stanford, are they premier academic programs? Of course they are, right? They're 2 out of the top 5 in the entire country, but that doesn't win football games. That doesn't give prestige to the ACC. And basically, when they brought them in, it lowered the appearance of strength that the ACC otherwise might have had. And I think, in my opinion, that was basically, outside of the 13-0 and being left out of the college football playoff, that was probably the camel that broke the camel's back got broken. And I don't know that there's another way to put it, because yes, they're looking ahead. They're trying to future proof by bringing those schools in case they lose schools, right? But if you trade an SMU for a Clemson, you played a Cal for Florida State, they're not straight up even, right? And so that's basically where it's at. So once those 2 programs leave, probably North Carolina and maybe Virginia, we don't know who the 4th would be, but whoever those schools are, once they're gone, what does that leave the ACC? It's a fine academic conference, very good at things like lacrosse, the athletic or the Olympic sports, those type of things. But they're not going to win you any national championships. They're not going to win you any prestige at the big kids table like you get at the SEC or the Big Ten.
Yeah. Well, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is, again, what I've heard from my sources, that one of the big sticking points with this whole SMU, Cal, Stanford edition was that Notre Dame was really beating the drum to add these schools. And, whenever it went through, Florida State, Clemson, UNC, etc., felt really upset about a partial member dictating what the entire conference was going to do, something that they weren't necessarily on board with anyway. So if being 13-0 left out of the college football playoff, that's evidence 1A, right? I feel like this is 1B of okay, what the heck, Notre Dame? Since when do you get to dictate conference policy and who we add and who we don't.
They sold their soul to them when they brought them into the conference years ago. So Florida State and Clemson can't claim ignorance to the effect that Notre Dame had on the conference, but Notre Dame's never going to be a negative. You could argue whether Cal and Stanford might have been wanted or unwanted by Notre Dame in the ACC. I think I heard the same reports you did that Cal and Stanford were basically Stanford. Cal was a ride along to get into the conference because they wanted them there. Nobody could say the same thing for SMU. SMU was a very slighted, jaded decision to bring in a school that honestly is so desperate they're willing to forego 10 years of payouts just to be included in the club. And I don't think anybody, I'm surprised anybody voted for him, but honestly, it was a pure money move. They were hoping they could take that little bit of extra money, spread it to the schools that really are agitating to leave, and maybe that would buy him some time. In my opinion, it did the exact opposite.
Yeah, I mean, now, hey, I'm a hater, right? I'm not. I have very few positive things to say about SMU, but I think you hit the nail on the head, right? It's bad optics. It looks, it doesn't make your conference look good or look strong to be willing to accept this guy who's so desperate to be considered relevant that they're willing to buy their way into a conference in such a way. And Double Frog said it. If they really want to play the academic card, Rice pledged $1 billion initiative in their athletic department back in 2021. Why not take Rice over SMU, right? They have essentially the same amount of recent academic athletic success, right? It's just crazy. So the 4 schools that I've heard the most about trying, they've been contacting the Big 12. They're interested in the Big 12. There's mutual interest if the conference falls apart. And these are a lot of schools that have been brought up. This is okay. Get excited, West Virginia fans. Talking Pitt, Virginia Tech, Louisville, and Miami. Okay, Bummer, what are your thoughts on those 4 schools, the value that they add to the Big 12? You know, are you ready to sign them up tomorrow? What are your thoughts on those 4?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they make the conference better. They increase the academic standing of the entire conference, and that's never a bad thing. It just doesn't normally sign babies and get them in the door, but it really does, raise the profile a little bit on the academic side. But at the end of the day, what you want to do is make the conference as strong as possible. And outside of stealing a Clemson or a Florida State, they're in the next 4. Right. You can maybe argue that maybe not Pitt. You might bring in NC State. I've heard some Georgia Tech stuff. Georgia Tech's evidently just received a huge endowment, a bunch of money to increase their athletic department and how it runs. But you mentioned the 4 that are the most talked about: West Virginia and Pitt. Obviously, that's a rivalry game. So
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech too. And I think TCU and I think BYU and anybody in the Big 12, we should be wanting those schools to come in. And if you get in an argument with somebody on Twitter about how can you guys hate the ACC? Why are you always talking bad about the ACC? And you know what? We're not. What we're doing is saying we want your schools in our conference. And yes, that means that your conference is going to be relegated to a basketball conference, but that's not on my head. I don't care. I need my conference to be as strong as possible. Bringing in those 4 schools would seal the deal and really make it's 2 plus 1, right? SEC and Big 10 with Big 12 hanging along.
Yeah. I mean, those 4 schools to me, they fit culturally. They fit geographically. I mean, we've been needing to give. I feel like I'm always advocating for travel partners for West Virginia. As long as TCU's been in this conference, and we're slowly but surely adding them and giving them some more historic rivalries. And Cincinnati and TCU have history with Louisville and UCF. They certainly hate Miami, even if Miami doesn't know they exist. Right. So there's a lot of value add, I think, in those 4 schools. Okay, here, Joey, I'm not sure what $1 billion he's talking about, but he says, well, what do you guys think the chance is we take that $1 billion and leverage it to try and bring Florida State, Clemson, Miami, and one other? So, in essence, keeping Florida State and Clemson out of the SEC and getting them into the Big 12. Do you think that's even a possibility, Bomber?
What he's talking about is private equity. and we're going to be talking about that in a half hour on our show.
Right.
But a lot of people look, when the first reports came out last week that had the naming rights of the Big 12 potentially going to say All-State, but that idea got conflated with the private equity story that came out about the same time. Both were timed to make the Big 12 look bad. Brett Yormark could not have been celebrating that news leaked. But regardless, those stories are two separate and identifiable thing. I don't really care if the Big 12 becomes the All-State Conference. I don't know why anybody should. If it gives BYU an extra $3 or $4 million every year to help pay for players or bring in new coaches, I'm all for it. But the private equity piece, people heard that what was it, 15 to 20%, anywhere from $800 to $1 billion in revenue that would come in from private equity. What do you do with that money? And a lot of people went to the bottom line, usually, as these conversations do, and they said, "Oh, well, that would mean if I do the math, that means my school every year would get $6 million." Right? And they did that backwards so that people understood this is what the dollar amount would really mean per school. I'm since it happened and before this even came up again, we talked about it before. I don't think that money should go to that at all. I think your comment here is exactly what he's saying. You take that money, you reinvest it, and use it to maybe pay the exit fees for schools to leave the ACC, or in some way entice them to come over for a different reason. But if you could get those 4 schools for $1 billion, and I don't care where the money goes to, I think in the long run that would help. That would help the Big 12 conference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because when we're talking about 6 million, and I'm glad you mentioned all-state conferences. That's the next topic that I want to talk about. But when we're talking about $6 million per school, that's not that much in the
No,
grand
it
scheme of
isn't.
things.
No.
So you can make a lot if you could use that money to entice those schools. Yeah, that's a lot better bang for your buck. That's a lot better use of that money and investment in the future of this conference.
Right.
If it's something that you can do. I don't know if that is something that's being discussed out there in Grapevine or Irving or wherever the Big 12 leadership is, but it should be. If it's not, it definitely should be. Okay, and I wanted to get to where the chat is popping off today. I love to see it. I love it, y'all. So I want to get to a couple more of these comments before we start talking about All-State, because I want to talk about that. Okay, I love this, the way that this BR7062 is looking at this. Big 12 needs to market themselves as America's conference. And Josh Pate mentioned this. I think all Big 12 YouTubers should watch that episode and promote that angle. Perception becomes reality. Yes. I mean, and we're to the point, right? When we're talking about the All-State Conference, the Big 12 name doesn't really mean anything. There's not 12 schools anymore. There haven't been for a very long time. And it's not, I mean, I guess the bones of the Big 8 are still there. It really is more becoming like a, Conference USA, an American conference, both of which names are already taken. But yes, I think the Big 12 absolutely should market itself as America's conference. And, maybe if we're going to become the all-state conference, maybe we add a school from every state, right?
Right.
Maybe we go that route.
Yeah.
But what do you think about that kind of rebrand, Bomber, of just really saying, hey, we are the conference that represents America. We represent everybody.
I mean, sure. Why not? I really don't have it. I do not care. Just write my school the check and I'll be okay with it. You have these traditionalists that are really holding on to these stories back to back, and I just don't see why it matters what your conference is called. Look, Moen's my guy, right? He's on my show. He's partner in crime with me, and he says the Big Ten will never sell out their naming rights, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he may be very well right. The SEC never sell out, but if you can, why not? I don't see a reason not to. That's the thing.
I don't know, man. So okay, let's talk about this all-state thing. Let's talk about it. So if you're not familiar, folks, and I'll share. Actually, here's a story from the Seattle Times that I'll put up on the screen. The Big 12 has been in talks with potential sponsors, specifically Allstate, to rename the conference with a sponsorship, right? So like we have stadiums now, AT&T Stadium, we'd have the big All-State Conference or the All-State 12. This disgusts me. Okay, I'm not into this. Okay, I think we're just like soulless, like selling our souls to the company store here. I don't like stadiums being renamed. I was talking to one of my friends the other day. He's like, "Oh my gosh, we should start putting these. I can't wait for us to start putting ads on jerseys." And like, I love how fly Emirates with Real Madrid. And I was like, "You've got to be joking. That's terrible. No, we don't want ads all over everything. We're bombarded with ads all the time." But hey, this is the world we're living in. Talks with Allstate. A lot of people on Twitter were saying, more funny sponsors. You could have What a Conference if you were sponsored by Whataburger, the Southwest Conference if we were sponsored by Southwest. Hey, I love that, right? But I don't know. To me, I look at this and the story here says that if Allstate was to be the sponsor, you're looking at each conference getting $2 to $3 million from the sponsorship. I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily worth the damage to the brand to sell your soul to an insurance company. I don't know. What do you think, Bomber? You're all on board with it?
Yeah, I don't care. I don't. It doesn't matter to me. Since my high school football conference renamed after I moved away and became an adult, I've sort of thrown all that stuff out the window. I don't care what you call anything. Just let me participate. That's all I care about. So
Your high school football conference is
it
named after a
changed.
sponsor?
No,
Oh.
no. They renamed it to identify with changing demographics and stuff. So the region changed, and so it went from the Big Nine conference, which was really cool, I thought, to something now I don't even know what it is. So to me, once that name change happened, I was like, I don't think there's anything out there I care about that much.
Well, I mean, yeah, but and I don't. There's nothing about the Big 12 that I'm married to, and I mean, TCU shoot's been jumping from conference to conference
Right.
ever since 1995. I mean, I have no like conference name loyalty. I just
Right.
think attaching a corporate sponsor to it just feels icky to me, right?
Okay.
I'm like, like we get bombarded with enough ads, right? Okay, here we go. Thomas has the correct answer. If we're going to rename the conference, the Big Dicks Sporting Goods Conference, right? There we go. I love that one. Okay,
Right.
that W for Thomas. Very, very nice. Yeah, but I don't know. It's like I think if you're only going to get $2 million out of it, then at least make it like the Big 12 Conference sponsored by Allstate or
Well,
presented by
maybe it
Allstate.
is. You don't know that that's not what they do. They could
Yeah,
end up doing that. They could
yeah,
end up doing the Big 16 even. They could
yeah,
switch maybe even to the number would be different.
yeah. That'd be
But
nice.
would it be as presented by or
Yeah,
presents? There's no
yeah.
reason they couldn't use those names.
Yeah, I mean that's less cringy. It's to me like the big All-State conference that just like literally makes me want to like cringe myself into a black hole, right? Like that's like,
Right.
oh my god, what are we doing here? Okay,
I got you.
yeah, and yeah, okay. So, and if we called it the Mayhem Conference, I'd be okay with that, right? The Mayhem
Sure.
Conference presented by Allstate because that's fun, right? That's some personality. It's not just corporate. Here, line up for your corporate sludge, everyone. Have fun. Yeah, that would be more fun. That'd be more
What
fun.
I think it matters more is the logo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what you call the name, but the logo is huge in my
Okay,
opinion.
yeah. So like, if we're putting good hands on our
Right.
jerseys,
That's
yeah, like
not
I'm not on board with that.
no,
But I
no.
know that we're headed in that direction. And to we were talking about TCU's uniforms before you jumped on, Bomber. A lot of people that I've been talking to have been saying, I wonder if the real reason that Nike has been going with this minimalist trend is they're trying to open up space on uniforms for corporate sponsorships,
I would bet that's true.
which again, I just hate so much,
Yeah.
right? I hate looking at the Mavericks and seeing Chime on their jerseys. It's so dumb to me. I'm like, no, go away. Right?
That is a pretty stupid one, by the way.
It's so dumb.
Yeah,
Like,
that is dumb.
no, come on. Like, you're just ruining everything, right? With these, and I mean, nobody does it worse than the European soccer with
Right. I
like,
was going to say Barclays Premier League. Yeah, they
like,
sell everything. Yeah.
yeah, it's just it's gross. But yeah, I mean, Thomas is right. Soon they're going to be all over fields. Soon they're going to be all over jerseys. Blech, right? It's gross. Okay, so to circle back around to this ACC Doomsday conversation. It seems to me, because we've got Clint Moses in the chat, as he often is. Hello, Clint. It seems to me that the ACC dying could also be Oregon State and Washington State's gain, right? Because
Right.
all of those schools that don't go to the SEC, Big Ten, don't go to the Big 12, they got to find somewhere to be.
Yes.
So we may have another coastal conference situation where you have Cal, Stanford, SMU, and then, your Dukes, Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, whoever else is left out, joining up with Oregon State, Washington State, joining up with maybe a Tulane,
Right.
Boise State, some of those other schools, and creating a essentially new G5 conference that is just that slight step below the Power Three.
Yes.
Is that a decent consolation prize in your opinion for Wazoo and Oregon State fans?
I want nothing but the best for Oregon State and Washington State. As you know, I'm from that part of the country, and I want those schools to be getting the best opportunity they can to be successful and compete at the highest level. In my opinion, that's their best path forward. It's not rebuilding the Pac-12. It's going to the ACC. Of course, they can't leave till what was it, August of 2026, so they can cash their checks from the rest of the Pac-12. Basically, they check out and take the rest of the money with them. But once that happens, if they're in the ACC conference, again, they're still going to be about power conference. But the disparity between where the Big 12 is going to end up, probably around 35 to 40 million per year. If those 4 schools come to the Big 12, you might be down to 20, maybe 18 to 20 for the for the ACC, but it would still be a power conference, and that would pay at a different rate, and they'd have access to more things. So yes, I think that would be the greatest path forward for them. And I would love to see Boise State get a ride too.
Yes. I mean, absolutely. And hey, what I've heard too, and the main reason why they'd be looking west is that, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, Oregon State and Wazoo still have rights to the Pac-12 network, right?
They
There is
do.
no Pac-12 anymore,
Right.
but there's a Pac-2 and there's a network for them.
There
There would be a place automatically where all of these games would get shown, and that's no small thing. Right?
I think and maybe Clint knows. Last I heard though, with the Pac-12 conferences or for the broadcasting network, their contracts ended last month. So the facilities they paid for, the physical facilities, but the actual broadcasting rights aren't there anymore. I might be wrong. I don't want to swear on a Bible that actually is true. I know I heard some people talk about it, but they might have to create new contracts. Is all I'm saying. Go out and get new relationships, but I don't see why they couldn't do that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, well, so there you go. That's all the news. We're caught up. Let's see this. Okay, what Joey said. Everyone needs to quit saying that we're not going to be a power conference. We are off the original A5, which is now A4. We are self-governed. The only way we go down is if we vote it down. Okay, yes. So, I mean, reason for optimism for the future. I mean, the Big 12, I think, is in an excellent position, right? Because of what happened this last offseason. And Brett Yormark's leadership has been phenomenal.
Right.
After some really, I mean, I think about like Dan Beebe, right? And like what Big 12 leadership used to be like compared to what it is now. It's a whole different ball game, and it's exciting conference to be a part of. So, Bomber, last time you were on the show, I hadn't started my my new tradition of playing games with my guests. Okay. So I want to finish out with and I do a lot of tier lists. Okay, I want to finish out with a tier list because, and this is the reason, the last tier list I did was on my uniform episode. We had Matt Lewis, who's one of the directors of player personnel at TCU, former head equipment manager. We ranked all the Big 12's uniforms, and he put Utah in the S tier, right? And he put BYU very, very low. He wasn't a fan. So I want to give you an opportunity to flip the script, okay, and give us the reverse perspective. Who you think, and I guess also in light of TCU's new uniforms, who you think has the best uniforms in the Big 12, who you think has the worst uniforms in the Big 12. And I might have accidentally put some duplicate pictures up here, but here we go. All the Big 12 schools, we're rating them from S to D. We will start with Oklahoma State. Where would you rank the Oklahoma State Cowboys in the pantheon of Big 12 uniforms?
Okay, so it's S, A, B, C, D. What's S mean?
So I don't know that anybody knows what S means.
Okay,
but it's the best, right?
It's the best.
Super de-duper, right? This is the best of the best, and the rest is like letter grades.
Okay, so you're asking for Oklahoma State?
Yeah,
I
Oklahoma
think
State first.
I think they're an A.
They're an A tier. Okay,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, I love Oklahoma State's uniform set. I like the paisley. I love the script cowboys. There's a lot that
Yeah,
they
that
do that
is
I like a
nice.
lot.
I like that too.
Oh, okay. So I don't know if Thomas is correct, but Thomas says superior. If that is correct, then my world has just been rocked. Okay.
Okay. All right.
So, and I think he might be
Yeah.
right. So
I
S is
don't know.
superior. There you go. Now I can actually tell people that I know. Okay, Kansas, one of the many teams to just get a rebrand. I mean, everybody was doing 2 horizontal sleeve stripes.
Right.
BYU's been doing it for a while, but now everyone's doing it and it's boring. Okay. But what do you think about Kansas's new uniforms? Where would you put them?
I would say, well, they're an A or a B.
Okay.
I like the blue and I like the scripting they use. So yeah, I'm a fan of Kansas's
I
logo.
mean, in many ways, this is basically BYU with a bird on it, right? This is
It's a little different. If you look at them side by side, BYU is about the cleanest jersey in the entire country.
sure.
So you're not going to find much more stripped down than BYU's.
This is Portlandia BYU. Put a bird on
Yeah.
it.
Okay. There you go. I like that. That's
Yeah.
a good way to put the Kansas. Yeah.
Okay. So Baylor just released new uniforms. They look like the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah. I
It's
don't
a
like the
horrific
new Baylor.
atrocity. Where would you put Baylor?
D. I don't like them at all.
Yeah, very
Uh,
major bummer. Right
yeah.
I like that they re-added the bear paw on the black uniforms. I like that because I missed the bear paw. I thought that was a great look. But yeah, overall, I prefer gold to the
Yes.
mustard, and these are just Green Bay Packers, and that's exceptionally lame.
They sold out.
Okay,
They sold out, I think.
yeah, sold
Yeah.
out big time. All right, this is a lot of like alternate uniform stuff down here. So Houston, where would you put Houston's uniforms?
Are they going to be the Love You Blue uniforms?
So
'Cause
I'll
I
use
like
the picture
those.
of the Love You Blue. Yes.
Am I voting Love You Blue or am I voting the stupid red that they use?
Well, Love You Blue as part of the whole. So maybe
Okay, I
Love You
like the
Blue
Love
is
You
the
Blue.
lump.
Them and BYU I have at the top. So
Okay, so you're not a fan of the red though.
no, I'm not.
Okay, so
So
we'll put
it
them in
just
A
depends
tier.
what we vote with.
Okay, yeah. So we'll put them in A tier because
Okay.
Love You Blue, I agree that's an S tier look, but you're not a
Okay.
fan of everything else they do. So
No, not at
okay.
all.
All right, here they are, the BYU Cougars. This is an obvious S for you.
It is, yes.
Okay, obvious S. There we go.
And I'm shocked that I'm not sure which uniform he was judging. The black ones aren't very good, or the dark blue. But man, the royal blue are they pop more than anybody else in the country, in my opinion.
Yes. Well, so the white, royal blue, white, right?
Yeah.
That is an outstanding look, and he agreed with that. One of his main qualms, Matt doesn't like when people mix shades of colors. Like
Right.
he's very famously gone on record that the Dallas Cowboys have one of the worst uniforms ever because there's 3 different types of blues happening at the same time.
Right.
Which is again something that rocked my world when he told me in college, and I've never been able to look at the uniforms the same again.
Okay.
But he doesn't like that there's a navy and a royal blue.
I
And
don't
he's
like the
"This
Navy
is-"
either. Most BYU fans don't like the Navy either. So yeah, we can't do anything about it though. So
Can't do anything about it. Okay, Kansas State. Speaking of Dallas Cowboys, it's the purple Cowboys with all the same silver. Where would you put Kansas State?
B.
Okay, B. There we go, right there. How come? Why middle of the road for you?
Purple, not my favorite color.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Fine.
Yeah, sorry, it's just not my. It's not in my color palette. My eyes don't see purple very well, I don't think.
Okay, Arizona. Where would you put Arizona? They've had these same uniforms forever.
Boring. Yeah, I would say probably C. I don't want to put them in the bottom, but they don't. I think there's more they could do with theirs. Honestly.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. See. Okay. Here's the new TCU uniforms and all their blank glory.
Yeah, I would B.
I love the helmets, but uniforms. Where would you put them?
B.
B. Okay. Yeah, that's probably fair. They're adequate clothing, right?
Yeah, they work. Sure.
I mean, literally, man, our practice jerseys have more character than these damn jerseys. Our practice jerseys have sleeve stripes, and it says
got you.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be bugging me the rest of as long as we wear these. Okay, Colorado's uniform set. Where would you put the Buffs?
Boy, I've always liked Colorado's uniforms. These newer ones aren't the 90s. Sorry, the 90s uniforms were their best uniforms, in my opinion. Yeah, B is fine. I can't knock them.
I'll say the same thing that I said to Matt. I love their logo. They've got one of the most solid
They do
logos
have a good logo. Yep.
in the whole conference. That's a great logo.
Yep.
Okay, Texas Tech, who also just got a slight redesign. Where are we putting the Red Raiders?
I like Texas Tech's uniforms. I would say B or an A. I don't know what your numbers are, but either one.
Okay. So my thing with Tech is they've got a lot of really cool uniforms and a lot of what the heck are they doing uniforms.
Okay.
I love it. I love it when they do throwbacks. Anytime they have a non-beveled tee, it's always a win.
Right.
To me, they look really, really great. Okay, so this is like Texas Tech Junior. Where are we putting Utah?
So there's two ways for me to look at this. I could go with the really bipolar. They're the opposite of BYU, and yeah, I hate them so much. But in my opinion, the red versus blue, those two uniforms on the same field at the same time, the best in the country.
So great.
So I put them at the top with BYU.
Okay, all right, very good. So
Yeah.
y'all look at this. Even Bomber thinks that Utah has excellent uniforms. We talked a lot about the custom painted helmets that they had recently.
They do some cool stuff with their helmets. There's no doubt about it. Yep.
Yeah. All right, Arizona State. Where are we putting the Sun Devils?
They're my other S. They're at the very top.
Other S. Okay. Yep. All right. Very nice. You like the maroon and gold combination?
I do.
Maroon and yellow?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Iowa State just got new threads, as you can see on the graph. Another horizontal stripe.
I would say C.
Okay, yeah. It's not a lot going on, right?
Yeah.
Listen, RIP the cyclone with the bird. Okay, the old logo, man, the Seneca Wallace look. That was great. That is personality. That is college football to me. This is just USC junior, right? It's like, okay, whatever. UCF, and I'll use the picture of the space uniforms because they're the coolest ones. We're putting UCF.
They're very creative. I would say I don't think I can handle two Love You Blue blues, so I'm going to put them in B.
Okay, there we go. All right, Cincinnati. Where are you putting the Bearcats uniform set?
They're kind of boring, I think.
Yeah.
C.
Yeah, not a lot happening. I like their logo. I think their logo is great, and they've definitely improved over the years.
Right.
Here's one. I love this set. I love it, love it, love it. Where are you putting West Virginia?
Oh, they're at the top. They're the other one on the S.
Okay, there you go. Yes, those Country Roads uniforms. I said it when Matt was on the show. I love those Country Roads uniforms. Everything about them, the details, the state of West Virginia on the side.
Right.
Very beautiful. So there we go. This is another very solid. Okay. And actually not all that much deviation in a lot of places from what Matt did. So there you go. Bombers official uniform tier rankings, everybody.
There you go. Put it out to the internet because people want to hear
it. Yes, right. Okay. Well, hey, speaking of helmets, yes. Used to love Maryland helmets, but
those are so ugly. They are the stupidest uniforms.
I love the idea behind Maryland's helmets. I like the impetus behind putting your flag on everything.
Right.
It's kind of like when Texas Tech had their Texas flag helmets. You're just like, whoa, no.
Yeah, it was too gaudy for me.
Yeah, too much going on.
Gaudy, yeah.
Way too much going on. Okay.
All right.
Checking the chat really quick. Great. All right. Perfect. So, Bomber, thank you so much. Plug anything that you need to plug. Tell the people where to watch your show and where to find you.
My show's on in 5 minutes. So after you're done here with Clint's show, come on over to the Big 12 Mafia show, College Football Mafia Network. Just look us up on YouTube and you'll find us right away.
All right. Perfect. And so Bomber, I will let you go, but I just remembered that I have to share. We've got a sponsor here at the Voice of College Football. So let me go ahead and play that video for y'all right quick. And then I'll do a couple more things to wrap up. But Bomber, thank you for being here, friend.
You bet.
See you around. Y'all go watch his show, but watch this first.
Commercial first.
Important stuff.
We'll see you later, Clint. Thank you so much.
That's what I do as a sports commentator. I have definitely been blessed. I enjoy my career. But I got to say, if I could turn back time, I would learn the business side of sports management, how to manage people, how to manage projects, how to manage situations. And then there's also those times in which you feel stuck in a job, stuck in a career, just feeling that there's a dead end and wondering and waiting, when is that break going to happen? Well, unfortunately, I got to tell you, that break is not coming unless you make it happen. Sports is your passion. You love it, you live it, you breathe it. Why not make your passion your career? Introducing Southern New Hampshire University, our sponsor. At SNHU, you will learn the business side of sports, sports management principles, and how to gather and analyze data. This degree will help you prepare for a career as an athletic director, sports information director, marketing manager, and other exciting roles in the sports industry. You'll be able to tap into SNHU's network of graduates working in sports-related organizations. You'll also have the opportunity to take advantage of an internship or an experiential learning course within the field. Your courses are taught by faculty with real-world experience, so you'll have opportunities to connect with people in the industry. And when you graduate, SNHU will be right there to help you with your job search. SNHU is accredited, nonprofit, and has radically affordable tuition. SNHU was voted one of the country's most innovative universities by U.S. News & World Report. Just go to snhu.edu/VOCFB. The link's also in my description section down below to see if you qualify for SNHU's sports management program. You might be eligible for financial aid or have existing college credits that could fast-track your degree at SNHU. Click the link to get started. Your exciting sports management degree at SNHU awaits you. Do it now.
All right, there he was, the college football king himself, Mark Rogers. Yes, check out SNHU, right? Absolutely good stuff. We're going to catch up on the chat here, see some things that I missed while I was operating that tier list. Yes, Frog, you're absolutely right. Baylor needs to bring back the gold chromes. I love the chrome helmets, man. I as for all my bloviating and all my grieving about TCU's uniforms, I'm so happy to have those purple chromes back. They're a mess to take care of as an equipment manager, I'll tell you that. But man, they look so good. And I'm interested to see how the silver chromes look on the field. That's going to be interesting to see how that comes together, because it's one of those I'm like, oh, I really like it. I really like it in theory. I hope it looks as good on the field as it does in a studio. Thomas, yes, the BYU whites are very nice. I love an all-white uniform. It's very hard to do an all-white uniform poorly. It truly is. Everybody looks good in all white. Yes, Cowboys need to stick to one color of blue. I mean, yes, let's face it. The Cowboys uniforms are classic, but they look better when it's silver, navy blue, silver, and it's all the same silver and it's all the same blue. It just does, right? It just does. Okay. Yes, Joey loves the new West Virginia uniforms. Me too. Even the black, surprisingly, the white is really nice. Yeah, those Country Roads uniforms, man, they're outstanding. And my mom is intelligent. Yes, the new TC uniforms are super bland. But you are correct as well, Mom. They could be worse. They always could be worse. We could be wearing the gray camo pajamas, all right, that we had as an alternate uniform in like 2015. Remind me to show you all a picture of that next show. Those were horrific. We survived that, right? For TCU fans, we survived the gray camo pajamas. We can survive a bland purple uniform. We can do it. All right. Raiders should do a better job of rocking the red uniforms at home. I mean, it is in their hand. Yeah. Personally, I think Texas Tech does all black better than most. So I love their all blacks. But yeah, and I think a lot of Texas Tech fans would agree with you that they love the red. Give me more red. It's just like, I mean, frankly, TCU hasn't worn a lot of purple at home here in the last several years. We usually get like one game a year at home where we're wearing purple jerseys, right? And love to see it more. Okay, there we go. So we are all caught up. And yes, Mark, get your back. So I'm going to remember, y'all, this is my promise to you as my viewers, and my promise to Mark. I'm sure Mark is watching. I will show that earlier in the show in the future. It's a new thing. So I had to, oh my God, I almost forgot to do it. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, there it is, running across the bottom of the screen. Subscribe to the show. And DM me your disaster stories, okay? I want to make a disaster episode happen this summer. I want to pay homage to the beloved Shutdown Bullcast and share our stories. So please DM me those on Twitter. And in order to DM me, I don't know if you have to follow me to DM me, but you should. Okay, you should. So follow me at Clint_Foster55. DM me your disaster stories from when you were at your Big 12 college, or maybe it was when you were attending a game of your favorite school. That works as well. Joey's gonna send me a story about like, oh my God, I was drinking moonshine too close to the grill and it caught all of Lot B on fire. But anyway, but we laugh about it now. Like, I don't know. Send me your stories, all right? And subscribe to my channel at Clint Foster Comedy. Again, I'm gonna have a couple more videos. I don't know why I became Donald Trump. I'm going to have a couple more videos for you here in very short order. Got one script done, working on another, and we're going to get those out. Hopefully the first one of the two will be about this Saturday, but you're going to know about it first if you subscribe. So do that and subscribe to this show, do all the things, share it. Let's grow the show, people. Let's make this thing a phenomenon. Let's make this something that America, right? Like we were talking about in the chat, make this America's conference, make this America's show, make this something that everybody gathers around on Tuesday nights, like a fireside chat, okay? And they are imbibing the glory of the Big 12 via the Big 12 TV show. Thank you so much for being with me. Again, I will see you next week. Send me your disaster stories. I hope your team wins. Love you. And go Big 12. See you around.